Oh, hello, and welcome to Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. Tonight we have Little Sarah. So this one was given to us by somebody on our for email to review and discuss. So that's what we're going to do. So Little Sarah is our narrator. Narrator girl, I think, actually.
Narratorman is a blanket term for all ages and genders.
Okay.
It's narratorman. We've already established this.
Have we?
Yes.
I feel like this is the first time.
No. You brought up... Okay. I've been calling them narratormen for a long time.
Yeah.
And then you brought up in a previous episode that a commenter sectioned it out to narratorman.
Did they?
I believe so.
Okay,
I want to give them credit because that's a really good idea, but yes.
I don't... Okay, I'll have to take a look back at our comments, because I just don't recall that.
Unless I just invented it myself, but
You fabricated a commenter?
Yeah, it's my comment.
Nice. Okay, so anyways, narratorman. or
Aderman.
Or Miss Aderman.
Miss Narratorman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is reflecting back on a really creepy occurrence that happened when they were 6. Basically, they were calling back 13 years from the present, when they were they had a kind of a rough childhood. Like their parents fought to the point where like they kind of got hurt one night from the dad's like anger issues. And then after that, the mom took her away from that home, from that trailer park, to like stay at a motel, and then eventually they went to a shelter.
No.
Yeah. It started with them
when they were leaving. The kid that's recounting this in the current day said that mom said that we're going to a place called a shelter.
Yeah.
From the get go.
No, they went to a motel first.
Oh, temporarily,
temporarily.
Yeah.
And then from there, they went to the shelter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that happened. I don't know.
Yeah. I read it a couple times.
I haven't read it. Go ahead.
Fair enough. So it's just like there's a couple of people. Yeah. Okay. So at the shelter, there's a couple of kids there that that our narratormen can play with. Mm-hmm. But their favorite person to talk to and play with is this girl called Sarah, who just stays up at the top of the stairs, and the narratorman would just stay at the bottom of the stairs and just talk to them. Mm-hmm. And Sarah didn't like the other people, the other kids or the other people, but never stopped narratorman from like playing with them either.
Just didn't approve of it.
Yeah. So one day they're hanging out at the kids who live across or just next door, and they go because they have a really cool badass playroom, and they go up there. And
self-proclaimed badass playroom. Yeah. It doesn't sound like
yeah. It's self-proclaimed, and then it's just like a bunch of white walls and like a toy chest.
It's like a tumbleweed that blows across the empty room inside with the windows closed.
Yeah,
hey, that's a badass playroom filled with imagination.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yes. I'm sure to a child, wow. Mm-hmm. So much room for activities.
Yeah, exactly. I could run around this place multiple times.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like outside.
Anyway, one of the older kids points out the window that looks out from this room, and looks and tells her, it's like, you know what happened in that house? And she's pointing, and it's the shelter. Mm-hmm. The second floor window.
I thought it was the first floor.
I thought it was the second floor.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah. I didn't read it.
Nice. Second floor. And tells basically the story about how this girl and her family got burned up in a fire when the place like caught fire, and the girl almost made it out, but died on the top of the steps.
And her name was Sarah.
Yeah. So. Flash or like kind of red flagging there is like the character goes back home.
Her name is Nair.
I don't care.
You don't Nair?
I don't Nair. Yeah. Goes back home. Doesn't talk to Sarah after that.
That's mean.
Just completely ignores Sarah after she hears a bad rumor about her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's
like kindergarten.
Yeah, she's like 6-year-old. So, anyways, she's staying at the down in the living room area for a couple of days because she's kind of feeling sick and such, and she kind of dozes off, and that's when the fire alarm goes off, and so her mom pulls her out of the house, and the fire trucks show up, but nothing. There's no fire, and the fire alarm just went off for some reason, and like they don't know why. But then all the Nerriman remembers after that is when they came back inside, Sarah was at the top of the stairs just glaring at her. So then we cut to, I think they moved after that to another place, and they stay there for a while.
It's not a shelter, but there's other families that live there, I believe.
No. It's an apartment, like a third story apartment.
Yeah.
The whole third floor is theirs, and there's like each floor is a different apartment.
Okay.
So they're at in their new apartment for a couple of months, and they're happy. And then the mom decides that they're going to move to a completely different town and actually have a place of their own, like properly. And so they move, or they go to check it out. And
you're skipping something.
I am skipping the dream. Yes, sorry, I forgot about the dream. There is a dream while they're there, like at the new place.
After moving from the shelter, she keeps having these nightmares.
Yeah, which is basically the story of Sarah dying.
Yeah, essentially, you're sleeping, there's a fire alarm, a smoke, coughing, get to the top of the stairs, and
just pass out, and die. And it leaves off like as she's like unconscious and black, like there's just black space. She just hears among like the fire crackling, you're gonna play with me, or like I want you to play with me, or I'm gonna find somebody.
Or
to play
I'll find
with
someone.
Me. I'll find somebody to play with me.
If you won't play with me, I'll find someone who will. That kind of deal.
So. Yeah, they go to the other place to check. They go to the new house, like the brand new house, to check it out, and it's great. Like it has it's near 3 playgrounds. It's right next to her school, or it's near her school. It's gonna be a great place to live. It's a slightly bigger city, but that's fine. So after a couple of hours, they decide to head back to their current apartment, and as they get to pull onto their street, there are 2 fire trucks dealing with a fire on the 3rd floor of their apartment, and she's told to stay in the car, and like the mom goes out to check what's going on. She comes back like just white as a ghost, and just says, "Why just ours?" Because the fire only happened at their apartment, and the narrative swears that they saw Sarah in the blackened window of their apartment. So then we cut to. It's now the present day, and
this was like 13 years ago?
Yeah, this was all 13 years ago, and the reason why she's writing this stuff down is because something that happened recently, a couple of days ago. She's now moved in with her dad, who remarried and has a family of his own. She has basically
which makes me wonder what happened to mom, but...
Yeah.
Anyway.
She has a stepsister now. She's about to turn 19, and she's going into college.
The stepsister was like her age back then.
Yeah, very similar. Like she reminds the sister reminds her of her at that age. Mm-hmm. And she was babysitting the sister when her dad was at work for a couple of days ago, and they were playing outside, and she had to go check a call that happened inside. That wasn't the creepy thing. The creepy thing was when she came back out onto the lawn, and the sister said, "We need to go inside now," and the reason why, when she asked, chills her to this day, and it was because she said, Sarah wants to play. And that's the end of the story. Mm-hmm. So Sarah's back.
Apparently.
After 13 years, she tracked him down. She tracked her down.
Yep. Google.
So-
Facebook.
Yeah. It's called Ghostal. Ghost to Ghost.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, that was a really bad pun. I'll just leave.
Yeah.
Everyone expects the Grandma Inquisitions at this point. So I'm going to start with this one. It's really nitpicky. Nobody made it out. Okay, it's supposed to be nobody. Like
That's not picky, because that's entirely changing what it's trying to say. If you're saying no body made it out, then not a single body made it out. Which is kind of the same thing, but you're saying it completely differently. So it's not nitpicky. It's a different way to say different things.
Yeah. So the
I
spirits
just take
made it
exactly
out.
what you were going to say.
Yeah, the spirits made it out perfectly fine.
The body.
Yeah, but the body didn't. Yeah.
Okay.
But if nobody made it out, then even the spirits.
So am I wrong then in this?
It's
Yes.
super nitpicky.
I was waiting for you to like always.
Yes, always wrong.
All right, fair enough. All right, and my next one. They'd said we couldn't find anything out of the ordinary. I don't know why the alarm went off. How could it happen? Well, how could it have been set off by just nothing? My mom said it was probably just the weather, and took me back inside. I feel like that middle bit that questions the alarm going off should either be differentiated as the narrator's thought or dialogue, or even maybe the mom's questioning, like of the firemen, like part of that dialogue. It to me, like I read over that and like a couple of times, and I like fumbled over it because at first I wasn't sure who was saying like how could it have been set off by just nothing, and then I thought that was actually the mom talking to the firefighters.
No, because she's already back.
Yeah, or then like maybe differentiate it by making it italics or like making it a thought bubble kind of
She
thing.
could be saying it out loud just in the car with the kid.
I guess then put quotations there.
No.
Like either like make it dialogue or
My
Kind of
problem with that
different.
was with the very start of that quote you just did.
okay.
They'd said so, like.
that would've been
they'd said we couldn't find anything, so they'd said so as in like they did said.
Yeah,
That's
or
what
they
they're
would
trying
said.
to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
said would have been fine.
Yes, exactly. And the next one I have. This meant I'd have to make new friends and start over again. Secretly, part of me hoped it would make the nightmares go away. So this one's just a small thing. Just maybe add though at the start of the second sentence, like because the first sentence she's kind of annoyed, but then there's kind of a silver line. The second sentence kind of insinuates that there's a silver lining, but it kind of just like
Goes into it without a contrasting word.
exactly yeah.
Yeah.
Like this meant I'd have to make new friends and start over, though secretly part of me hoped it would make the nightmares go away.
Yeah.
Bam. Makes it a little bit more clear.
Well, that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And then this one's actually like kind of a wrong word kind of thing situation. After a while, Mom said we had to go back home. So we went and the car and drove back the way we'd come.
Oh,
So it's supposed to say, so we went to the car and drove back the way we'd come. Also, should that say
Came.
back the way we came too? Yeah, the story has like either like maybe it's the writer's like accent kind of bleeding in a little bit because sometimes people talk like that. But yeah, and that's my grammar inquisitions for the story. Mikey, what do you got?
I got nothing.
Really?
Because this is technically all dialogue.
It's how the character would talk or write.
Yeah, it's just how she writes. It's fine.
You know, I think I might actually make that a T-shirt. Like, it's how the character would talk. It's how the character would write. It's how the character would think. And then maybe just have like underneath it like
You're wrong. You're wrong.
pen,
I hate you.
a pen, a word bubble, and a thought bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. You're wrong, and I hate you also should be a T-shirt.
Yes, it really should. I like that.
I wish again. That's what I can't even take credit for that. It was Caleb from Roleplay Public Radio podcast. He's like, it was him talking about like how students and like people who like are taught a certain way, like in America and stuff like that, like once they have that set in their head, they're like they don't want to like change.
They're
their
like dead
minds.
set in their ways.
Yeah, exactly. And so he's like, no, it's like when you're trying to teach somebody like a new game idea or something like that, and you're like, no, you're wrong. You're wrong, and I hate you. Like that's literally how we did it. Like all the inflections he did it, and I was like, oh god, it's so funny.
Yeah, that is awesome. So credit where credit's due.
Exactly. Yeah, I might even do like it's like you're wrong, and I hate you, Caleb Stokes.
yes.
And maybe you like bring that to Gen Con like next year.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Do you actually not have any?
No, I have none.
Oh, because it's dialogue?
Yeah.
Or did you just not find anything?
Well, part of it was I read it on mobile, so that makes it a little harder to catch grammar inquisitions, I find.
But I could have swore I saw a front end.
Nope.
All right. Maybe that was in the reload one.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
you're wrong. You're wrong, and we hate you.
It's fine. That's understandable. All right, on to the grammar in yellow then.
Yep.
So, right from the get-go, just perusing over it, the paragraph sectioning is really confusing. Mm-hmm. Like, it almost looks like it's just a giant block of text.
Yeah.
Because, like, essentially, you type a paragraph, you hit enter to go down, and then you enter again to give it a space. And it just entered down without the space in between, so all the letters are touching.
Yeah.
So
like,
it really blends together.
Yeah, like the formatting was maybe it might have been like when I transferred over to the Google Doc. Mm-hmm. Like maybe the form there was some proper formatting in it. But yeah, like because the paragraphs do kind of blend in a little bit.
Yeah. And then this part here, pretty early on, I think. Yes, this is really early on. There's repeated information one after another, and I don't really see why. This isn't something I like to tell people. In fact, it's something only my mother and I know. And then there's one small sentence after that, and then the next paragraph starts. This isn't a story I'd consider telling people, but not because I'm afraid they think of me crazy. Like, it's saying the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like to tell this people. I don't like to tell people this, and then right after that, this isn't a story I like telling people. It's...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a good analog for that. Like, it's like... I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah. It's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah, so it could just really, like that, one of those could be cut out.
Mm-hmm. And also, they're talking about the same thing, but they're sectioned out into their own paragraphs, which is also strange. Okay, so the paragraph where it's where the story actually starts, going, anyway, I've avoided this long enough, it's time. When I was a small girl, blah, 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 continuing on. So it's essentially talking about her as a kid and her upbringing with her father and all that. And then right at the end, the last line is, the next night when my father went to work, and it continues with a paragraph there and then goes to the next paragraph, even though that sounds like a better place to start the new paragraph, because it's already this huge block of text, and then the last sentence is a different time.
Like when his mom or when his dad went to work, or when her dad went to work, like that would have been the good point for them to start that paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the paragraph flows just a bit off on that.
Yeah.
Which is honestly something I've noticed a few times in this. Which is flowing into my next one. Two paragraphs that are talking about the same thing, but they're separated. She said that there'd be other kids there, probably some of them around my age, and that I'd like it there. Period. New paragraph. She was right about there being other kids my age at the house, so it's repeating information again. It's just confirming it, but it's still talking about the same thing. But either way, I think those could be combined. Mm-hmm. Then the nobody situation. Then another combined situation. She asked me if I wanted to go upstairs to our room. I said no, I wanted to stay downstairs. And then I must have fallen asleep. I can remember that breathing was hard, blah, 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 blah. But that's still talking about the downstairs thing, because right after that it switches to the problem of the fire alarm happening, which would be a new paragraph.
Yeah.
And then the nightmares started. Each and every one were the same. It should be was the same?
Sure.
Each and every one was the same.
Each and every one were... No, yeah. I think actually each and every one was the same.
Because they're the same.
Each and every one were the same, which doesn't make sense.
If there were a whole bunch of...
Each and every... It's...
Okay,
Yeah.
it would make sense if he was saying, like, I had recurring nightmares, different nightmares, all about Sarah. But each of them were creepy.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about separate ones, but it's talking about the same thing happening over and over again.
Yeah,
so it's a singular event.
Yeah.
And then the last one is the summer before I was to start first grade. It just kind of...
Yeah.
That is a way to say it. The summer before I was about to start first grade situation.
It's a little clunky, that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the summer before I was starting first grade is easier. And that's it for the grammar in yellow.
Okay. So, on to actual thoughts. Alright, so starting with... I made friends quickly with all the kids there, but the one I liked talking to the most was Sarah. Sarah was quiet, and she always wore a dress, and always stood at the top of the stairs and talked to me. She never did anything else, really, and she didn't talk to anyone else. I never went up to her. I just stood at the bottom, and we'd talk like that. Sarah didn't really like the other kids very much because she said they weren't like us. She said they didn't know what it was like to think like us. I like this introduction to Sarah because over the course of the paragraph it parses out red flags about her. So it's slowly making you go, oh shit. And then later, a few paragraphs down in the story, we get like full confirmation as to what she is. That being a ghost.
Honestly, as soon as that paragraph you read was in my eyeballs, I assumed she was a ghost.
Yeah. But I mean, there are bits and pieces throughout that paragraph that make it kind of like, you're like, okay, that's creepy, oh shit.
As soon as it's a little girl at the top of the stairs that never comes down.
But it doesn't address it until we get the story. The actual story about her. And like, yeah, the reader obviously like is sometimes really quick to like realize that she's a ghost because of those inklings. But like it's a good payoff to even have that confirmation a little bit later, that when the character realizes that they were talking to a ghost.
It just kind of, well, I mean, I have a note on this, so that's why I'm going for it a little bit. Essentially, like, it just kind of, like, yes, I get what you're saying, but it kind of sucks where like the reader knows things way before the character finds out, so the reader isn't as shocked as the character is.
I guess.
Which lessens the importance and, like, power behind the shock that the character has.
I don't think so. Honestly, like... Sorry, no, continue.
No, go ahead.
I'm just, like, cause that's basically horror movie 101. Like, the audience, most of the time, knows what's about to happen to the poor victim, or, like, knows something like, I know something you don't know, kind of thing.
Well, yeah.
And, like, that's a staple of horror genre.
Yeah, but that's partially my problem with this too. It's like really predictable. Everything that's happening.
It's a very. I was gonna have that in my final thoughts. Is that it's a very predictable ghost story. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed the kind of like realizing in that paragraph, that first paragraph, like from all the red flags that were going up about Sarah at the top of the stairs, and then when we finally get that confirmation from the story that she's a dead girl up the stairs. I don't know. I personally thought it was just as powerful.
I just find it weird because like, she stays at the top of the stairs and doesn't come down. Okay, but I guess she has a reason for that. But it doesn't explain why Nair doesn't go up to try to talk to her and hang out with her.
Maybe she senses it. It's like subconsciously. I don't know.
I just wish something was said, like, she always stays up there and doesn't come down. I once tried to go up, but she said I shouldn't come up there.
Okay, fair.
Like, just a simple line like that would just alleviate that, you know?
Yeah. Maybe she told her, like, not to come... Maybe she told her not to go upstairs. Like, Sarah told, like...
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, sounds...
Yeah, like Sarah saying, like, no, don't come up.
Yeah.
Like, Maybe she's scared of germs or something, you know.
Here's the other thing I have about this, like, especially near that, with that last 2 sentences, where Sarah didn't really like talking to the other kids because they weren't like her, weren't like us. She said they didn't know what it was like to think like us. And that had a little inkling of an idea in my head. What does she mean by that? Altering the story a little bit, what if the narrator's dead also? Like, it completely changed, it completely kind of, like, you need to kind of, like, change the story a little bit at the end, like, near the end of it, or like that. But it's just like, what if she's all, like, why, what does it mean, like, they think they think the same?
I guess, because, that's the one line that didn't really make sense to me.
Unless
like,
maybe,
went anywhere.
Unless perhaps our narrator has the shinin. Sorry, the Shining.
The Shining?
Well, the Shining's the Simpsons version.
Oh, okay.
For copyright reasons.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Or like some other type of ESP where like maybe that's how why she's the only one talking to Sarah, is that she's the only one who can perceive Sarah.
Yes.
And then her sister at the end has the same gift.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's what I assumed why Sarah says that she doesn't like talking to other people, because they don't know she's there.
Yeah.
And to everyone else, Nair's just sitting at the bottom of the stairs talking to herself.
Yeah, like somebody, like a creepy, like talking to your imaginary friend kind of deal.
Yeah.
And you're like, is that actually an imaginary friend, or is that straight up a demon or ghost that she's talking to? It's
Pretty
like,
much.
Is little Tim actually an imaginary friend, or is that a ghost? Mm-hmm. Totally not projecting my creepiness from my cousins who have a little imaginary friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it was just like kind of like, what did they mean by that? It was just an interesting. It gave me pause to like kind of like wonder what that meant. Mm-hmm. And then I was relieved. I hadn't talked to Sarah since those kids told me about her. I wouldn't go upstairs alone. Rude. Sarah just wanted somebody to talk to, a friend, so she can set off alarms and later cause fires. That's just because she got mad for you being rude to her. Moral of the story is, don't be rude to someone just because you hear something bad about them, like a rumor about them. Especially if they're a ghost. Don't judge a book by its cover. Read The Ghost too. Wait.
Do you mean like a second book called Ghost 2?
Yes.
And Ghost
Electric
1
Boogaloo.
is the... Of course, yes. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just like, I felt like it's like very rude. They were like, narratorman was very rude to Sarah.
Also a child.
That's true, is easily creeped out, yeah.
So honestly, the true villain is the older sister of the neighbors, who put this all in
her and her fancy, complicated words.
Yeah, if she didn't do that, then they would have stayed friends, and she wouldn't have had the nightmares, and her apartment wouldn't have burned down, and her angry spirit wouldn't have been transferred onto the new kid.
That might have still happened when they eventually left the shelter. Like maybe suddenly we'd be getting like a ghost stalker friend. Like that scenario might still kick in.
Okay, but the ghost wouldn't be showing up being aggressive. It would be like the ghost would show up and she'd be like, "Hey, Sarah, you're still here.
Yeah,
you're following me. That's cool.
That's totally
we'll be best friends forever." And then it becomes
Yes.
And then it becomes a buddy horror.
Yeah. Oh, buddy horror. We need another buddy horror. I need to hunt down another buddy horror.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy horrors. Anyway, yeah. So, my last thing is actually the final bit in the story. The thing is, when I went back outside, Rebecca looked at me and said, "We have to go inside." Sorry, we have to go inside. Sorry, that was a Kendall Cove reference. As soon as I read that, I was like, that sounds an awful lot like when the Laughing Stock says that in Kendall Cove. Anyway,
Laughing Stock?
The Laughing Stock is the ship in the Kendall Cove TV show.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has a giant face on it.
It's been a while.
Yeah. It has been 252 episodes.
Mm-hmm. I recently had to put new Warframe knowledge in my head, so I guess that fell out.
Yeah, probably. Mm-hmm. So, Sorry, going back to... Just restart that for a second. Rebecca looked at me and said, "We have to go inside." When I asked her why, she only said 4 little words before running back up the steps and in the house. 4 little words, but they were enough to bring chills up my spine. Sarah wants to play. Okay, this ending actually really got me, like, in a good way. And I knew it was coming. Like, I knew this, like, that Sarah was back. Because the story is kind of predictable. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it's still a good and a creepy... It's still really good and creepy when you set that up right. Like, even... It's kind of like... I've heard it, like, mentioned before, like, when, like, a comedian is watching another comedian perform, and, like, it's appreciating the craft.
Yeah.
Like... When it's like I can appreciate like what they're trying to do.
It's like when a joke has good staying power. You can say it as many times as you want.
Yeah.
And even if you know the joke is coming, it's still funny.
Yeah.
Like do you like fish sticks?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Fine. I like fish
Shut
sticks.
you down on that.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's like I get the story is very predictable in terms of like a ghost, because we've all heard this kind of ghost story before.
You're not going into Final Thoughts, are you?
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just saying this is still more.
Yeah.
But again, like but it's done fairly well in those bits when they set it up like that. Like that last paragraph, like is gold to me. Like I love that bit. So, yeah, I want to applaud the story for when it does a good job, and I have.
That's fair.
So that's my actual thoughts. Mikey, what do you got?
All right. So, my issue with this story is more of a personal one based on experience.
Okay.
So, from my experience and secondhand knowledge, is when a kid has an imaginary friend.
It is creepy as fuck.
But the problem is that, like, a year or so later, when they forget about the imaginary friend. And if you ask them, "Oh, what about so-and-so?" they'll go, "Who?"
Yeah, because they forget about it.
Yeah. So, a 19-year-old remembering something that...
Her 6-year-old self did.
Yeah.
Remembering something traumatic in her past, which almost killed her.
Also, there is a lot that was going on in her life.
Yeah.
Like at that point, so that section of her life was kind of like stamped into her brain. Like it's when her parents basically separated as well, and they were like on the move and stuff. Like she still cares about her dad and so that, but like that was probably the first time that her dad actually hit her out of like rage. So yeah, like it's a fairly traumatic like spot in her timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's the only thing that really sort of makes it so she might remember.
Yeah.
If it's essentially her being scarred as a child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh god, I just realized she's got friggin' Stephen King psychic syndrome. So in Stephen King fiction, all the psychics, like every psychic character in Stephen King novels, they develop their psychic powers after a traumatic event. Okay,
but why does she have psychic powers?
Well, she has psychic powers in that she has the sixth sense. Like she can see and talk to a ghost. That's kind of like, if we are going off that of the reason why she like is able to talk to Sarah and stuff.
Well, only as a child, though.
Yeah, only as a child for now. But it happened right. It happened shortly after a pretty nasty traumatic event in her life.
But the family one?
Yeah, the family, and then like again her dad like throwing her half across the room.
That's what I mean by family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, but yeah, I'm just realizing I'm not saying like oh the author's like totally ripping off Stephen King. I'm just saying like I just caught that similarity as we were talking about it, and the whole psychic idea, like psychic theory, is stuck in my head. Yeah. Sorry.
So anyway, with the whole imaginary friend thing, I feel the story would be, for me anyway, like 10 times more believable if it was told from a parent's perspective.
I know that like we get it from Narraman's like point of view in the story.
Yeah.
Did anybody? I didn't bring this in my notes because I it kind of shrugged it off. But like now that you bring it up a little bit because of that, did anybody else get an inkling that the mom was having there's something else going on with the mom, like other than the fact that like she was like they were moving because they were trying to get away from the dad. Or they were trying to like they were separating and some of that, and so it was a little bit.
There's something going on behind the scenes, but it could literally just be the dad pestering her to get back together.
Or the mom is also encountering weird supernatural stuff, or like noticing what's going on with her sister, with her daughter.
Yeah, there's something going on behind the scenes that we're not being told about.
And we rightly shouldn't know because it's being told from the daughter's point of view.
Yeah, so what would the kid know?
Yeah, she would.
Well, it depends if she sat down and talked to her mother about that event sometime in the 13 years
before she goes missing, apparently, because now she's living with her dad, and the mom's just out of the picture.
Yeah, but she's not necessarily missing.
No, that's true. I just meant like she's gone from the scene.
Yeah,
she's left the scene.
Yeah,
yeah. I would actually. That would be really because that would be creepy in itself from a parent point of view.
Yeah, because like you'd be your parent. You'd be the parent walking down, and you see your child sitting at the bottom of the stairs, like, "What are you doing there?" And she's like, "I'm talking to my friend Sarah." Pointing up the stairs, and there's no one there. It's like, "That's nice."
We need to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or like maybe the reason they left the shelter after the fire alarm thing is that she was talking to the mom of the neighbor, and they said that their kids said that they told them a creepy story about the house, kind of thing, and that's why. Because remember, like she didn't want to go upstairs; she wanted to stay downstairs. Mm-hmm. She was very adamant about it. Mm-hmm. So maybe the mom went to the neighbors and asked her about that, and like, oh yeah, the kids told her a scary story about. Oh, did you not hear about what happened in the shelter? Whole family died in a fire out there, and told her the story. And it's like, we need to get out of this shelter.
Yeah,
my child is seeing ghosts, or possibly like being communicating with the dead. We need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you were going to add anything else to that, or?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was my main actual thought.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah.
All right, I'll pick up the slack, I guess.
Do it! Just do it! Make your creep come true! Just do it!
All right. If you say so.
I know why we have you on the show for a reason to pick up the slack.
Yeah. He's the heart and soul. You're the slack. You're the
slack picker.
You're the slack picker.
Oh, great. That's weird. Or it's because I wasn't here last week, so you had to pick up all my slack.
Yeah, we're tired.
Yeah,
we had to do an entire show without you.
Oh, boo! Frickin' you!
Well, good for you.
All right. All right. Well, on to actual thoughts. Then the first part is about the title.
Yep.
You're not even trying. You're not even trying, cultist. You're not. Look at me. Look at me.
All right.
You're not even trying. Also,
what are you talking about?
Also, it's on a Google Doc that said edited by Crazon 3 days ago. I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Got like posted on Google Doc.
Sounds like the story.
Oh, it was shit. I can say that as much as I want because I know that I'm only offending this person here. Moving on to the slaughter.
All right.
So,
yeah, fun. 6 years of laughter.
Oh, that's good. All right. So, all right. So early on, safe enough to play with a child, right? I'm telling you, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong, and I hate you. Hate you. All right. And then slightly after that. Anyway, all right. So when I was reading this, I'm like, okay, the cultist is writing this. So I'm viewing this as the cultist telling me a story about him and his niece. Okay, so, anyway, I've avoided this long enough. It's time. When I was a small girl, I lived in a trailer park. Whoa, cultist! So that's why you wear a hood. Don't be ashamed of being a girl. It's okay. Why, back when I was a little girl, I remember when I got my Sega Genesis. And that game, what was it called? El Viento, that's right. The game that the king developed to condition young minds to understand the power that he gives. That day changed my life forever. Praise the king and Sega Genesis.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized I do actually now have a Sega Genesis. We need to find a copy of that game.
Yeah? I totally want to play that.
Yeah.
For unbiased reasons.
Of course. Mm-hmm.
Not a combination of the king and video games together in
exactly
one form.
What king is that, by the way?
The one in yellow.
Oh, okay, because you just said the king. So people might they might think it was Elvis, and not our Lord and Savior, the King in Yellow.
He's the one and the same.
Oh my God!
Duh.
I wear no pompadour.
Yeah. Just like takes that off. It's just like a brain shaped like that.
I'll wear no mask.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, but
come at me.
All right, fine. So, Sarah was quiet. She always wore a dress. Talked to the top of the stairs. Blah blah blah. As soon as that happened, she's a ghost. Moving on.
Yeah.
I already mentioned that. I forgot to mark it off.
So, do you want me to cut that out?
No.
Okay,
it's fine. That took all of 5 seconds. But cut out what we're talking about now,
of course, yes.
which is taking a lot longer than what I just said previously.
Yes, future me is fuming right now. You can sense it in the time stream.
Okay, cool, great.
You know what? No, I'm not going to edit this one out. Fuck you guys. I'm done. Past you guys? Fuck off. I'm out. Peace. Later.
Next quote. I never went up to her. I just stood at the bottom of the stairs and we talked like that. Why? Why would you not go up or ask if you can come up or anything? Because also you're a child. You're wanting to play with your friends.
Yeah.
And you're wanting to run around. Yeah, but she's just kind of chilling at the bottom of the stairs.
Maybe she told them, I really feel like there should have been something where, she told them, not to come upstairs.
Yeah.
Or not come up to the top step.
Mm. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
Or, in where they are, she's not allowed to go up there, but that kid is up there. So by the rules of the house, no one's allowed up there, but there's a kid up there.
Except, you mean when
I'm saying in a different area.
Yeah.
If she's if there's a staircase that goes to the roof, and all the parents say you can't go up the staircase, but Sarah's up there, so she's I can't go up there. My parents will get mad at me.
Exactly, yeah.
But hi.
But hi, let's just talk from here.
Yeah.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
I don't know about you guys, but I envisioned it being a very high,
I just imagine it's one floor.
Yeah, but
or it's 3 steps with a landing. Just standing there as the rest of the steps go up.
See, I thought it was I expected, I don't know why, but I just thought of it like a fairly long set of stairs, up to the next floor.
I imagined it's like if you're sitting on the ground floor.
Yeah.
And actually no, you have the landings.
If there was no landing,
if it was just one, yeah. Where you can one person can sit at the top, one can sit at the bottom and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Were you gonna add something?
The kind of stairway that you could ride a toboggan down?
Yes. Yes, just like that. Exactly. So this is where it's kind of getting confusing for me. So not long after moving in, I met 3 kids that lived in the house next door. House next door? I thought this was a homeless shelter, as in one big building that houses multiple families.
Here's the thing: you're thinking of Canadian. Well, not just Canadian. I think this is also. I think we have these kind of things as well. It's a shelter. It's where it's basically a house that's been refurbished to house people who don't have a home. Mm-hmm. It's actually not they're not.
It's not a homeless shelter.
It might be a
women's shelter.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like that.
Basically, they.
It's usually one building, though.
No, it isn't.
primarily.
There's the shelter you're talking about, which is like a homeless shelter or like to keep people out of the cold. But there's also shelters that the government uses where it's just refurbished homes to give the children specifically and the parent a place to live that seems grounded and like kind of not just a facility of some kind.
Mm-hmm. But because that's not said, the most I get is shelter.
Like actually, the Ronald McDonald houses are actually like that.
Okay, but because all I get is shelter, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. So when it's describing certain things, my mind is jumping back and forth between different visions of what it is.
That's fair.
So scene to scene, it's either a house or it's a giant building.
Yeah.
And it's not staying firmly planted as anything.
Yeah, I will say that like there maybe should have been some kind of thing, because even like rereading it, I kind of got that impression that at first, like for the first couple of seconds, that it was a facility, like one of like a homeless shelter kind of thing, and then suddenly it was a house.
Especially since it says like when I moved there, I made friends quickly with all the kids there. So
there's a couple of families living in the same house.
Yeah, but it sounded like multiple, not like an entire shelter making friends with everyone. You know.
Yeah, the thing is, like, this might also be like again, like there are shelters like this, but it needs to be described a little bit more right at the start.
Yeah, pretty much. And then it gets to the situation with the playroom. When we were in the playroom, the older sister walked into the window. Not into the window, over the window. You know what happened over there. Saying all that shit. And then at that point, I'm like, oh, so the house with the 3 kids is a building beside the shelter. Yeah. So in this instance, I'm thinking there's the homeless shelter building, and then there's a residential house directly beside it with these kids in it.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
The problem is, you were still under the impression that it was
a homeless shelter, like a big building.
And not just another house that's being used by the government to house homeless people.
Yes, like I didn't know that this is like a subdivision of a whole bunch of houses that are all shelters.
Yeah.
Because it refers to Nair's place as the shelter.
Honestly, it should have been like maybe like a women's shelter or like a shelter, shelter. Again, it should have been described a little bit more as to what kind of shelter it is. Because again, we might just because we're so used to that kind of shelter, like in our cities and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But like, I know there are like shelters like that in our towns. That are,
I know, but that's like the go-to.
Yeah.
When you hear shelter, you think that. At least I do.
Mm-hmm.
And like when the older sister says, "You know what happened over there in the shelter?" Referring to the shelter,
I don't think
we're not in a shelter, but that's a shelter.
Do they not even say like that was a shelter? I think it's just like, you know what happened over there, and like they just pointed at the house.
She was pointing at the shelter.
Okay, she was pointing at the shelter. Yeah, okay,
not pointing at my shelter from her shelter.
That's what threw me off. Was like, I didn't bring it up because I was like, like it's not that like it basically my notes are like, did it really piss me off? It's like, is it really a problem?
Yeah.
If it is, if it comes back up from you guys, I'll bring it up again.
It's a problem for me because I keep having to rewrite in my head what's going on in the situation.
Oh no, how much you hate that.
It's annoying. It's just like, okay, one big building. Oh, okay, now there's a smaller building beside that building. Okay, that's fine. That's believable. And now you're telling me that they're in the subdivision, not in the middle of town.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So just erase everything and just...
All right. Gotta read the whole thing first and build from there. Or build and change.
So you want me to read an entire story, rather than not visualizing a single thing, and then when I get to the end, be like, so it's like that, and now it makes sense.
You have to just go with the flow.
This is what happens when I go with the flow. Because I'm told one thing, that's what builds in my head, and then I flow on to the next paragraph, and it tells me a different thing. So I add on to it, and flow into the next one, and then it erases everything I did, so I have to erase all that and rebuild it.
It's less destroying it and recreating it, and just have it morph into the new thing.
But it completely changes everything I thought about the story previously. Because I imagine that there were like 10 families living in this large building, multiple floors, and they're all like single apartment situations for the entire thing, and they're all hanging out. Like it's almost a dormitory situation, and then it's
actually just a house.
Yeah.
With a couple of families, like maybe like 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's a completely backwards to what I originally thought, and that pisses me off.
That's fair.
But anyways, moving on from that. Oh, sorry, before moving on from that, Older sister, what the fuck? No greeting, just walk in like a zombie to tell this story, then leave. Mic drop on the way out.
Yeah.
What a bitch. Anyways.
Yeah, she really was just there to gossip about Sarah. Again, super rude to Sarah.
Yeah. Almost like, what if she is the one who burned the building down?
Yeah, she's older.
Yeah, because back then they were like rivals.
6.
They were both 6, and she was like the mean girl, and Sarah's the nice girl. And like, you have all the friends because I'm a bitch and you're not. Well, you won't be here much longer. And she gets a little lighter and burns the house down, kills her.
And she gets away with it.
Yeah, somehow.
She's actually the villain the entire time.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, we've already established that. Because if she didn't do any of that shit, then there wouldn't have been a problem.
Yeah. It's really her fault for causing this rift between Nair and Sarah.
Yeah.
I actually really Nair just reminds me of my buddy Travis's Monster Now Childish Things Little Fears campaign. Miss Nair's summer camp.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I was like, Nair's.
That works.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Yeah.
Well, one night there was a fire. No body made it out. Blah 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 blah. Essentially, just confirming that it's a ghost. Called it is my note. Moving on. Then the next night, the other family who lived in the house told us she and the other kids would be gone for a couple of days. This meant Mom and I were more or less alone. So then at this point, I'm like, okay, so they're not in a homeless shelter with 10 people. They're in their own fucking house. You're wrong and I hate you.
You're wrong. You're wrong and I hate you.
It's just weird because, like, you said that you quickly made friends with the kids at the shelter.
Yeah, but it's a shelter. It's not. The problem is,
so what it is
it's your fault for not guessing that it was a house.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, you should be.
I'm not. So what it is she quickly made friends with the kids that lived upstairs. The one other family that lived upstairs in their shared home.
See. As in yes.
Oh. No, I thought you were going to drop it. Oh, no, they live underwater?
No.
I wouldn't be surprised with the changes that happen here. Oh,
sorry, I should have used our bilingual we.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And there goes all of our Quebecer listeners.
Goodbye, Quebec. But yeah. So laying on the couch downstairs after being told about the creepiness and all that. It's her saying it. She's talking about her mom.
Yeah.
She asked me if I wanted to go upstairs to our room. I said no, I wanted to stay downstairs. Why would she ask if she wanted to go upstairs? Like, what for? It's just like a blanket statement with nothing before it. It's just, they're watching TV, and then the mom's like, do you want to go upstairs? I was like, no.
I mean,
It's just weird that it's nondescript statement like that.
Yeah, it might made sense of like it was getting dark, it was getting time to go to bed. Like maybe we should go to our upstairs to our rooms.
Yeah, or like as Nair's laying down to essentially sleep while the TV's on, the mom would be like, "Don't you want to go upstairs to sleep?"
She's like, "No, I don't."
Yes,
Sarah's there.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a little description would be good. Mm-hmm. Then immediately after that, I must have fallen asleep. I can still remember that breathing was hard. My nose was feeling crusty from running so much during the day. Your nose running, or are you physically running? Because neither of them were mentioned happening either.
Yeah.
It just...
I mean, generally when you say when kids are playing, they're running around. Like you say that they're running around.
Oh, really? Because when she plays with Sarah, she sits at the bottom of the stairs and doesn't move.
Okay. They think differently from other kids.
It's the way the character thinks.
It's the way the character plays. God.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah.
I would hear her voice sometimes as I lay in bed at night. It was like she was calling out just to me. Come play with me. You never played with her. Ever. You talked to her. That's not playing.
I mean, some kids...
Did they play tag once? If you play tag once, you played with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes they play... Like, sometimes, like, when kids say they're going to go play, like, talking is, like... having a conversation is like is a type of play.
Did you ever go over to a friend's house when you're this age, sit down and just talk?
Yeah, actually.
Just not do anything. Just sit on the couch.
One of my best friends growing up, we talk a lot. Like we just like hang out and talk and shoot the shit.
You're a sick, twisted individual.
Wow. I mean, we all knew that already.
Oh, yeah.
There's just pointing out the obvious.
But there's so much outside to do.
Yeah. So
And video games.
we sometimes did that, but sometimes we just hang out and play and talk.
Just no TV on, no radio on.
Yeah, we just hang out.
No
and
board
talk.
game, just sit down, talk.
Yeah.
In, like, first grade, kindergarten. Alright. I mean, that's fair. It's just, I was always running around doing shit, you know.
That's fair.
Practicing my ninjutsu.
Your ninjutsu, yeah, exactly.
Learning parkour.
Yeah.
You know, I had a job to do.
Well, I mean, we talk about like Cthulhu and how he's awesome and like how it would be great if he took over the world. And
So we
like,
had different upbringings.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Not really, but that's fine.
Yeah, it's fine its own twisted way.
Yeah. And then we're at the ending, finally.
Mm-hmm.
So, at this point, Nair can't see or hear Sarah anymore, or she just hasn't noticed that she's around.
I'm thinking that maybe as she grew up, she lost the gift.
Okay.
Yeah, like the whole imaginary friend scenario. So as soon as she became 7, she immediately forgot about Sarah.
But it's a ghost, it's not an imaginary friend.
Unless you're thinking it's like a tulpa, where it's like a thought form entity that's similar to a spirit, but like made up, basically. You think Sarah?
But it can't be made up because older sister bitch.
She mentioned unless that was all just a legend, like a rumor about like the people died in that.
But she found out about the rumor after she hung out with Sarah for months.
No, like maybe it's a legend that's been circulating in that shelter.
But she wouldn't
Like
have...
there was a fire.
Okay.
There were people who
My point is, as soon as older sister bitch tells her,
Yeah.
she immediately stops talking to Sarah. So if any of the children in the shelter or shelters told her about this, she would not be talking to her.
That's true.
So as soon as it's brought up, ceases communication.
Yeah, maybe all the violence that was happening, like the poltergeist activity, basically, like the fires and the fire alarms and stuff like that. Maybe that was like basically Sarah's death throes as she was like trying to get attention from Nair, because Nair was the only thing that was keeping her anchored to this world.
Yeah.
And then when Nair's stepsister shows up, suddenly she's back.
And why does she have the gift?
I'm guessing sometimes like psychic powers can be hereditary or like it's in the blood kind of thing.
Well,
Stepsister? Well, partially.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's on the dad's side.
and it could just be a child thing. So
Yeah.
when you reach a certain age, you have superpowers.
Yeah, it's like
And
child.
then once you grow out of it, you don't have the superpowers.
Well, in the Little Fears RPG game, it's called Belief. Basically, you have a pool of magical power of like the childhood like belief and like be able to do things and so that depending on what your archetype is. But you have a lot of it when you're younger. But as soon as you hit like 13 or 14, you basically have depleted your belief, your childhood belief, and so it goes away, and you become an adult. Like it's basically like when you grow up, like when you mature, it's over. But like
It's like when you're young and you like a certain type of music and it sounds awesome, but when you hear old people music, it sounds like shit.
And then
when you grow up, the young
realize
kid music sounds like shit, and what you thought what was old people music is now good.
yeah.
Which is partially a South Park reference I snuck in there
Damn
that
you.
you didn't know about.
Damn you straight to hell. All right.
But yeah. And then the only other part about the ending I have to question is, with the stepsister running back inside to go play with Sarah, is she running inside to go play with her or running inside to get away from her?
Oh.
Because she just kind of casually says, "Yeah, go inside."
That's really fucking good.
Because like, it could literally just be Sarah standing in the door, and be like, "Come inside and play with me." She's like, "Okay."
I'm fine the way it is because it lets people like figure that out on their own. Like you can either have it that she's going inside to play or she's going in to get away.
Yeah.
But either one of those I accept.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I like them both.
That's fucking
it's very
tight.
different, though.
That's a tight revelation there.
Oh yeah, what a revelation.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to final thoughts. Actually, first things first. Do you actually think this is mine?
Probably.
Well, you're wrong! You're wrong, and I hate you. We actually pulled this from creepypasta.com. Little Sarah is by Ashleigh Margaret. We did this because this is our April Fool's episode, baby.
I figured it was going to go one way or the other. I figured you would either try the same shit again and expect me to be as dumb, or you would try the same shit again and assume that I would get it. Or sorry, you would try something different and lay it out as if it's the same thing. So I figured one way or the other you'd get me. So I'm fine with it.
All right. No. We thought of this last week when you were here, and we went for a lunch break, and we're like, we need
to find a Sarah-based creepypasta.
Okay, so here's the funny thing. The reason why I went in 3 days ago, or before, because I changed the story. Because the story I chose originally was Dear Sarah, and it was a email so it had potential. It was about 3 pages long. And was basically girl loses her best friend to suicide. She commits suicide, and a week later gets emails from her dead friend telling her to commit suicide.
Well, that's nice.
And it eventually turns into a suicide note as she goes and offs herself. And I was like, that's... and I didn't realize that until I read it Sunday. After I sent you guys the message, or because I sent you guys the Google Doc with the story added on.
Is that what you texted me asking if I've checked it yet?
Yeah,
because I would have read the wrong one.
Yeah, I was also worried that you'd be like that's a little. I was also worried that for April Fools, that's a little that's a little distasteful to have a creepypasta that's essentially a suicide note, a fictional suicide note. It was I felt it was a little out of taste.
I suppose
we might actually do that story though, because I actually have some feelings about it.
Yeah.
Regarding where it could have gone, rather than just abruptly end with, well, I'm going to end my life. Bye. That's literally how it ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, so over the weekend I actually read it. I was like, oh shit, this is a little too dark for an April Fool's episode.
You should read it before you post it to us.
Yes. So I luckily I only sent you to the Google Doc, which I can change, and it will appear as the new stuff as if nothing's happening, except for the fact that the date. But that's fine because it added to you thinking that it was me.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah. And I did pick a perfect one because all of it screamed you wrote it. It's named Sarah. There's a creepy girl in it. Female main character. You're wrong and I hate you's in there.
Yeah, no, everything was in there. It was perfect. Yeah, little. The reason why I went for the Dear Sarah first was because it was on Reddit /creepypasta, which we've never pulled a story from.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, hey, we'll use that, and then I realized, oh, it's a fucking fictional suicide note. No, we're not going to do that one yet. We'll save that for its own story or its own episode. That's not as for laughs and giggles.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And then I chose this one because this was the runner up, and I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
And so I sent him the actual website link, and then sent both of you the Google Doc.
Sneaky bastard.
You have him to thank.
Thank you. That's fun. Yeah.
Well, because we realized the next epispisode was going to be April Fool's episode.
Oh, I knew it's April 1st.
Yeah.
I 100%. Okay, so going into this recording, I 100% knew it was April Fool's one.
Oh, good.
So I knew some chicanery was going to happen.
Yeah, I was actually I had been laying the seeds down for you to try and they're going to try and get me or something like that. When I was sending you texts hey, did you check out the story yet? All right, cool. Just checking.
Yeah, I knew something was up.
Yeah,
yeah.
We were just wondering if you were going to get it or not. So, gotcha.
Yeah, you did.
All right, cool. That's what you get for taking a week off.
Oh, it's my fault.
Yes.
All right.
But no, I'm glad you got some entertainment out of it too.
It's fun.
So on to the actual final thoughts of the story. Again, you can check it out on creepypasta.com.
I can't apparently, but you guys can.
Little Sarah by Ashleigh Margaret. And we'll go into the actual final thoughts of the story. So the story is somewhat predictable as a ghost story. The beats are all there for something that we've all heard before, we've all read before, all seen before in movies.
I haven't seen a lot of horror movies, and it's cliche to even me.
It's the basic ghost story kind of idea.
Yeah.
Or it's that creepy, when a child is talking to an imaginary friend or talking to a friend that's acting weird, they're a ghost. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But I do like the character's journey from where they go to up to the creepy execution at the end, where again, Sarah wants to play to the says the stepsister of the narrator. That was really I appreciate the craft, even though I've seen it a dozen times. I appreciate the work that was put into this, or I appreciate the story. It's a bit short, and we added.
Is it?
Yeah, honestly, I think there could have been some more.
It's funny because Mikey, when we were talking about getting this read and possibly doing other recordings, he's like, it's kind of long. I don't know.
It's 4 pages, man.
He's like, it's medium to long.
Well, that was for the preloaded.
That's super short, though.
Yeah, well, I was looking at my phone, so it's kind of hard to gauge how long it is.
I thought, all right.
I got a question, actually, Mikey. Your no grammar quizzes, was that also part of the gag? Or did you just not? Did you just actually legitimately just give this story a pass because
How is that
it's all
part
that?
of the gag?
No, because part of the April Fool's thing. Because I have nothing. It's all dialogue. You get the pass. Or is that actually just something that you?
That's just something.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It works so well.
Yeah.
And when I was reading it, I just envisioned somebody telling this story because of how it's written. That I was like, it's all dialogue.
Yeah.
I can't really tear this apart.
Yes, you can.
You can always tear it.
You can do it.
You can tear things. Hell, like the show's shown, you can tear things apart from the heart. We do it because we care.
Yeah, sure.
I do it because I care.
All right, fair.
But anyway, the reason why I say it could be a little bit longer, it could be added, a little bit more could be added, is what you were bringing up was the shelter. So there's some descriptors that don't make a whole lot, some mentions, things that are that told to us that don't really, that need a little bit more context or need a little bit more blurb.
What really happened at the end, possibly?
No, I'm fine with that, leaving that up to it is. I meant again, the shelter thing.
While the constant moving.
Yeah, maybe not even that. I'm fine with that because again,
no, you're wrong and I hate you. Fine. You just keep saying that.
She's
everything I bring up
because she's.
How about Nair needs a name? No, it's fine. I like it ambiguous.
Because she's 6, so the amount of details we get are fine. In terms of her what's happening in her life, but I mean the descriptions of what the place is, her environment basically. We don't kind of get. There are like you brought up with the shelters. That is really the big thing.
Yeah, it kept throwing me for a loop.
Yeah, the shelter is actually a shelter house, not a shelter center. And the playroom looking out at a place, but it's never really mentioned. It's only mentioned a little in passing that it's the shelter, that it's her shelter. It's mentioned it's a shelter, which you can't impart. It says it is the shelter or a shelter. And you can't import that it is the one that she's living in, but it doesn't say it. And it was one of those points where I almost was on your side, where on your end of the meter, where it's just it doesn't say it. So how do I know that it's hers? But at the same time, I was I give it a pass because obviously you're not, unless you're an idiot, you don't you're going to get it.
It's the house next door.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's obvious, but it's the fact that she says the shelter as if. That's a shelter, and I'm not in a shelter.
Yeah, because they're in a house.
But
because they're both in houses. Just one of the houses is being used as a shelter for families that don't homes.
Okay, but if you're in an entire community of shelters, and you're in your neighbor's house, and they point at another one of the houses and say, "You see the shelter over there?"
Yeah,
or not even over there, the shelter. That's saying that that's a shelter, and I'm not in a shelter. It's not, do you see that shelter over there, or the other shelter, or shelter number 27?
The neighbor's house is probably just their house. Whereas the house next door is being used as the shelter.
So there's a singular shelter house of 2 families?
Yeah, probably. it's and again,
Well,
like
you said it's like a community.
no. I no. Okay, gamer. It's not like it's not. They gentrify or the government or whoever's in charge of like shelter, like homeless shelters and stuff like that. They buy a house.
Random houses in the city.
Yeah, random houses in the city.
I thought it was an entire like.
No. Like this is actually something that in real life, like they rebuild, they renovate it, and they use because it's like a low income or like it's an easy to maintain like property. They have like a couple of families move in, and like they just check up on them occasionally. Like,
I get that, but like I because I was so confused with this, I googled it and I found big shelter centers that have multiple rooms and a whole bunch of families live in one place, and entire communities of like tiny homes where like they're all there as an entire community of homeless shelters.
Maybe that's another one, but I
wasn't aware that there was also another option of just random homeless shelters around the city.
The third option I actually found out by watching Shameless, the TV show, because in the show that one's more of a kind of in a like not a ghetto, but like a like down, kind of a low income kind of housing like neighborhood area where the government will buy a couple of the houses, maybe not on the same strip, but just like one or two houses, and then they'll like fix it up and then basically have somebody maintain it while families are living in there. Yeah. So. Yeah,
you see what I mean, though. Like, there's so many different variations of a shelter,
and that's what I was getting at. Is that like some more information could be added here, like from the 19-year-old's perspective of like where her living condition was, because like we got like trailer park home, can get that one like we know that instantly. What it's like apartment complex, like 3-story apartment, like we got like a description of that.
Totally
shelter.
What type of shelter?
Yeah,
yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I was saying about that, like, for adding a little more information. I feel sad and also equally creeped out by Little Sarah. And...
Well, you wrote it.
I did not.
So, of course, you're creeped out by it.
And because, like, Little Sarah, like, could be just, like, she just wanted to have a friend. And
I want to know if other people can see her or not.
I don't think so.
No.
Only the ones with the gift, with the shinning.
I guess. The shininess.
Yes. But at the same time, I also enjoyed the story as a quick little ghost story. So I will partially recommend, probably like 80% recommendation. Like 80% only because like there's some work for improvement.
I mean, nothing's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like a pretty decent recommendation.
Oh, except for
if you like a quick ghost story, like this is a pretty decent one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really no there's no perfect creepypasta except for Who Was Phone.
Oh, yeah, Who Was Phone was a classic.
That's everything else.
The penultimate. Such a high bar to reach, though.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that some of these will reach it, but I don't know if it's possible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, and Mikey, your final thoughts.
Well, as we've gone over, there was issues. My personal thing was that I would have liked it to have a perspective from a parent as opposed to the
eyes of a child.
Well, I can see why you say that because you always bring up the false memory syndrome, like the false memory condition where like people can just fabricate like those or they elaborate and like fictionalize a memory they had like when they were toddlers. Mm-hmm. Whereas if a parent is going through it, it's a lot more. It has a chance of being a little bit more coherent, a little bit more accurate. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there's less questioning of it,
and it could work just being the mom, and then with narrator and the now other daughter that's
the stepdaughter.
The stepdaughter, technically, yeah. So, but it's still seeing it again, but from
what if the perspective changes from the mother to the dad at the end? Like it suddenly switches to the dad's perspective, having his older daughter like living with him and like with the younger daughter, and then like him like commenting that like his older daughter is kind of freaking out because his like younger daughter said something about a Sarah and wanting to play,
or like. That's always been a thing. Like, the younger daughter's always had a Sarah imaginary friend. But why is my daughter coming by and having a problem with that now?
Yeah.
Like, before Nair even gets there.
Exactly, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a partial recommendation for me.
Okay.
For me, if you wrote it or not, I don't know, and I don't care.
I swear, as a cultist, I did not write this.
You're full of shit.
All right, believe me or not, asshole.
I know. But either way, it doesn't matter one way or another because I judge books for what they are.
Yeah.
Not just by the cover, not by whose name's on it. Yeah, the long and short of it is essentially it's very predictable and cliche, which is sometimes a good thing. But like I saw the ending coming from the get-go, and there was no surprises for me. The only surprise is that you did not write it.
Yeah,
even though like the entire story is written out as if you wrote it.
I know. That was a completely happy happenstance.
Yeah. Like, every aspect of it is like, yeah, he wrote this. Yep, he probably wrote this.
In a panic on Sunday, I scoured the before reading it fully. I scoured the story. It's like making sure it wasn't like something horrible, or like creepy.
It's like all the things that trigger you to creep you out are in this story.
Yeah.
So well done picking the perfect story.
But
yeah, so I like the story just because it is so a story you would write, but it's not. So it's magical like that.
Yeah.
But that being said, the shelter situation pissed me off to no end. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. It just, I could not get my mind around what they were trying to show me.
Tell me what shelter it is.
Yeah, I just need to know. The surrounding is, like, the characters and the surrounding are the two things that have to be described in a story to get immersed into it. And if you're not immersed into it, you're not scared. If you're not scared, why you read the story?
Exactly.
And because I saw everything coming, and there's no surprises, so overall, it's a very kind of bland story where it doesn't really take too many risks to try anything new. And
it's one of those things where like you have to take it or leave it. Like if you don't, like if you can appreciate the story that has been done to death or has been like done to death and is now a ghost, or like if you like this kind of ghost story, it's a quick read. Like a quick ghost story read. Mm-hmm. But if you're blah like that, like, oh, I've heard this one before, you're not going to like it.
Yeah, if you like traditional ghost stories, go for it. If you want something new and something that you will be surprised by, it's not good. I like being surprised, I like being creeped out, so it didn't work for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to recommend it for people like me.
Yeah.
But for people who enjoy traditional stuff, go for it, because it's aside from the paragraphs needing to be spaced out, which may have been your fault.
Honestly, no. That's how it was in the on the Google.
Okay,
then,
paragraph structure and putting them like-minded sections of paragraphs together and spacing them out. Aside from that and the one or two grammar-related issues, there's not really too much wrong with it on a grammar sense. But
I don't know what we're going to do next April Fools.
Well, you've done both.
We've done both.
You've done one that you wrote that I didn't assume you would put that out there, and now you've done one that sounds exactly like something you would write, but it's not actually yours.
Yeah, and the problem is like one of you guys can't do one, and then like, oh, we should do this one for this week because like I'll know about it. Like I'll know what it is.
Unless we just start suggesting stuff now, and then slip one in there.
But like I'll know because it'll be the one that I do for unless like it's
we preemptively April Fool's you or belated April Fool's you.
Fuck,
you're never gonna know now.
We're going to find out. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have to see or maybe we'll like. Unlike this story, which doesn't take any chances, we'll have to try and take some chances next time and do something a little different.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. We're going to find something new to do for an April Fool's episode.
Instead of just targeting me.
Well, you're so easy.
Am I?
Well, to be fair, last time it was targeting both of us, but I saw through it.
Oh, yes.
Whereas this
time you conspired.
Yeah, like, I absolutely loved your reactions. Like, little Sarah, you're not even trying.
Yeah.
All right, so recommend, partially recommend, wouldn't recommend, but for people that like you, but would recommend the people that don't.
If you want a simple, cliche story that's already been done, but it's put together without problems that make you stumble along the way, except for the shelter, then yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So this has been this week's episode. We hope you enjoyed. You can leave us a message in the comment section below. It's posted. You can also tweet us on Twitter at Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without the W, because Twitter really hates you.
I can't just get one more letter.
One more letter.
It's not fair. It's mine.
Although Mikey has told you why that is the same.
They took mine.
So they took it.
Yeah.
They took that one letter from you. Check out our Patreon to find out what we're talking about. And you can check. You can also send me a message at Review Cultist.
I should start my name with an A. So I can just use the @ symbol as the A.
A Gamer in Yellow at Gamer in Yellow.
I don't know.
Anyway, you can also leave us an email at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas you'd like us to discuss on the show. It's really a tongue twister sometimes.
Yeah, I know. You've only said it like 300 times.
I know.
It's weird.
Yeah.
But tongue twisters are always tongue twisters regardless.
Yes. You can also check us out on crazon.deviantart.com or crazonstudios.tumblr.com or on our YouTube channel, Al Dente Rigamortis, where you can check out the videos of each episode, which are the title cards mashed with the audio. And if you'd like to help support the show, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigamortis, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We've got $2 and $5 tier with early access and special extra episodes for your listening delight. For our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate that. And for our regular listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without you, we really wouldn't have a show, and I wouldn't have stories to read. So, until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm infuriated.
And this has been Al Dente Rigamortis. Happy April Fools! Sleep well.
Okay, Krusty. Jesus.
Hey!